So we'll come to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with the City Council.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor?
Just 1 second, please.
Okay.
Because we have different folks that attend different city council meetings, this is a 6-member city council that we have, and we're missing one of our members tonight, and I'd like to read this statement from his family. Councilor Kleberg and his family are dealing with a complicated medical issue and appreciate your thoughts and prayers. At this point, Councilor Kleberg will not be participating in city politics for a few weeks. We will update you when we have more information. So for the record, Councilor Kleberg will not be joining us tonight. Councilor Lidke.
I'd like to make a motion to remove agenda item Roman numeral number 6, letter E, the source wall purchase from the agenda for this evening.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidke, seconded by Councilor Towsley to remove active agenda item 6E, Sourcewell purchase mower. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors.
Mr. Mayor, for another motion. Never mind.
Folks, no secrets here, but we don't have a full 6 council members, so we can't entertain the motion. Next up is citizen comments, item 3. And this is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the mayor. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Also, your Lewiston City Council pledges to practice and promote civility within the governing body, advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of the city of Lewiston. If you're here tonight and would like to provide comments, please go up to the microphone, state your name and your city of residence. Address is not required, and you'll have 3 minutes. Are there any citizen comments tonight?
Do I speak?
No.
Here, this microphone.
And you may have to just kind of belt it out a little bit. There are folks listening at home that want to hear what you have to say too.
I can do that. I wrote this letter about a week after the water failure, and what is very disappointing is that nothing has changed or gotten better since the day I wrote this. Dear Mr. Mayor and City Council, my name is Audrey Royce. I live on Sunset Drive. I'm a wife and stay-at-home mom of 4 children, Ruby, 11, Mabel, 9, Nigel, 7, and Eugene, 18 months. My husband is Ramon Royce. He is an instructor at LC State in the social work division. On January 18th, our home and property were close to being completely destroyed by the reservoir failure. I woke up Wednesday morning to what sounded like an earth-shaking thunderstorm. Glass began breaking. We had no idea what was happening. My husband, believing there was an intruder, ran to the basement steps to witness what can only be described as a scene from the Titanic. Water was raging, churning, pouring into our home. We go into our backyard to discover a lake of dirty water, debris, logs, and more. Covering family photo albums, my children's memory boxes, Christmas ornaments, ornaments, so many of them handmade, my remaining childhood box of memories are gone. The things I chose to save are gone now. A marriage's worth of belongings we worked hard to attain and take care of and use. Our lives have been completely uprooted by this event, this tragedy in my family's little world. My oldest cried a week or so after it happened, scared that if we stayed in our home, would it happen again? Because if any of our children had been down there, they would not be alive. I want you to understand that. This was no small flood. This was no pipe burst. This could have killed people. The sound of a running washing machine for weeks afterwards gave me anxiety. Please help us. We need you to advocate for us. We are treading water without your help. KREM 2, KHQ, KXLW, KLEW, and the Lewiston Tribune all came to our home the week following, asking for an interview, which I obligingly gave them. And one thing I told each time was that our city was going to do what was right. They were going to restore our lives. Please, please prove me right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Lynn Rogers. I live in Lewiston in the Normal Hill area, and I'm so sorry to hear about your home. And it seems like my issue isn't nearly that, but it is an issue. I feel that the new water restraint on sprinklers is a little bit more than what's actually needed. We've been asked not to run sprinklers, which if sprinklers are set efficiently, they're much, much better than hand watering. So we tried to hand water, and just one small section of our yard took an hour to do, where our sprinkler system would do our whole yard twice a week in that same amount of time and use much less water. And where we would miss spots, the sprinkler system doesn't miss spots. I think there's a lot of people that are angry about watering by hand. So I would really love for the city or the council to maybe change that to make it a more efficient process. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Bill.
Bill Strange, Liston. I just want to speak about the fire station proposed at Fifth and Bryden. I just think that's a horrible location. I've talked to multiple people, and I haven't heard one person say that they think that's a great location. You know, we bought that piece of property, as I say we, taxpayers, bought that piece of property, and it was listed in 2011 for $472,000, I believe. There's been talk that if we change the location to somewhere else that we would lose, I believe the number was $972,000. We can sell that piece of property. It has to have doubled. If it didn't double in the last 12 years, 13 years, it's the only piece of property in town that didn't double. So it's probably the best piece of commercial property we have in town, and we've taken it off the tax roll. The ones across the street are paying almost $40,000 a year in property taxes. Over a 50-year life expectancy on the building, that's $2 million, assuming taxes never go up. But anyway, there's no room for expansion there. That is what it is. That lot is there. They could move one block down the street to 4th and Bryden, and 4th and Bryden already needs a traffic light there. And we were told when Bryden Canyon went in, by the year 2000, we were going to need a stoplight there. 23 years later, there's still no stoplight. It's a mess if you try to get out of there if you work at the airport, which I do. Anyway, like I say, traffic is a mess at 5th and Bryden. There's multiple locations on the airport where property that you already own, that you know, they say, well, you have to pay lease on it. You pay the lease to yourself, so no, you don't have to pay for that property. You own the airport. So anyway, there's multiple locations on the airport where that they could put, I think that would be better. The proposed property is probably one of the best commercial, they have 18,000 vehicles by there per day at that intersection. And I'm gonna guess, I've sat and watched, I'm gonna guess we lose 30% of those that coming westbound on Bryden that turn onto 5th Street going downtown, headed down the hill. So using that number at 30%, we dropped from 18,000 down to about 12,500 in one block there. It just seems like it would make more sense. We need a light there. Let's incorporate the design of the light to fit a fire station. Have the westbound lane, set it back like they do in other cities to where the fire department can turn the light red and then they can pull their truck out. They're not having to move traffic. They can stop all traffic and go. If you've got problem traffic, I don't see why they can't go to Burl and around that way and avoid that intersection altogether. And I mean, like I say, I've talked to hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and it's like, what do we need to do to stop this location? I don't want to stop the fire station. They need a fire station. I support the firefighters, I support the station, but I just don't support the location. And I mean, if you guys want 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 signatures by the next meeting, I guarantee you I can come up with them, because I have not talked to anybody that supports that location.
Thank you, Bill.
Can I just, a couple more here. Anyway, I'm willing to sit down and debate with any of you guys. They've talked about response time to the Elks down. It'll be improved more if they go there. And so sell the property. Can we do a survey like at the special election next week? Can we do it just an impromptu survey and ask the people, ask the taxpayers what they think? Anyway, this is a big task that's been put on you guys, and I don't envy your position whatsoever. And one other thing I'd like to say is the Radials and River Air Show will be going on July 1st, and so save the date type deal. 2019 was the last year we were able to have that. We had 17,500 people. We've got great aircraft coming in, and we're hoping to hit 20,000 people, which would be the largest one-day event ever held in the city. So we hope to see all you guys there.
Yeah, good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Further citizen comments? Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey.
I've been in meetings all day, and there's two here that I didn't have time to read. I don't know if, are we reading the written ones?
I
Is that-
forwarded them to Carrie, so Carrie could read them for public comment.
Councilor, if you would like those read into the record, we can certainly do that.
I may not be the only one, I guess, is why I thought that. So if they can be, I would appreciate it, because I feel trying to participate in the meeting and then read
Okay.
at the same time.
Well, I think I'll just go ahead and read these and save Clerk Ravenscroft from having to do that. The first one is from Paul Bowen. Councilors, tonight you will vote on an even higher contract price for a fire station that has been kicked around for the last 9 years with a new higher cost of $7,771,054. In today's environment, we have national inflation of 6 to 9.6%, depending on who you believe. Home mortgage rates of 7%, massive layoffs by virtually every major corporation, including Amazon, FedEx, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, Disney, NBC, CNN, and the list goes on. We have a broken supply chain that supplies much of what U.S. consumes, now including vital health drugs, with no supply fix in sight, and you believe that now is the perfect time in the past 9 years to tap local citizens and taxpayers for nearly $8 million for a new fire station that our departing fire chief sold to you. You have had countless Lewiston citizens stand before you at the podium and tell you not to build the fire station, especially in the location selected by the fire chief. Did you listen to those citizens? Did you hear them? Did you hear citizens last week tell you that they were tapped out by high taxes and some of them must sell their homes to survive and escape Lewiston taxes? Do you understand that the reason for the new higher price is because the supply chain has collapsed and prices are escalating out of control? A government that truly represents its constituents couldn't possibly add this bill to the already highest tax citizens in Idaho. If you believe that citizens support this $8 million expenditure, you'd be wrong. And if you think even the mayor has your back when the taxpayers erupt from this tax and spend targeting Lewiston taxpayers, you'd be wrong. Each of you will stand alone and face the outrage of Lewiston taxpayers while the long-gone fire chief will be vacationing, celebrating somewhere. Not one of you, being objective, could vote to approve this fire station at this time except to reveal your total contempt of Lewiston taxpayers. Instead, be smart, put the fire station on the November ballot where it belongs, and create a win-win for you and for Lewiston citizens. The second letter is from Gary Peters. Dear Mayor and members of the council, thank you for taking the time to hear my comments this evening, and my sincerest apologies for not being able to deliver them to you in person, as the trip to Dallas has me in Texas this evening. My comments this evening are not only as your Airport Authority Board Chairman, but also as a Lewiston City taxpayer. First, a quick comment regarding the reservoir failure and the resulting water rationing that I'm sure is on everyone's mind this evening. I would first like to remind the citizens that this council new mayor has been in office a little over a year now and is nowhere near short of options of where to spend their time and effort on where to focus next on tackling projects and decisions that have been kicked down the road for not only years, but decades, and in some instances, many decades. I can tell you from experience, it takes years to clean up decisions that have later are proven to be absolutely incorrect or completely lacking any sense of urgency whatsoever. I don't envy any one of you. Every direction you look, there are things that need attention or dealt with immediately. I pray the community keeps this in mind, and God blesses them with grace as they continue to put their trust in all of you to lead our community through these challenging decisions. That being said, in regards to the water irrigation rationing, has anyone proposed or researched the possibility of using potable water trucks for an interim period until flowage is obtained by whatever means the city decides to do or is able to do, depending on contractor materials availability? Generally, the busy fire season is not until late summer, and our region has many fire contractors with such certified potable trucks ready to go at a moment's notice. At first glance, the cost may seem rather expensive, but when compared to the possibility of losing tree shrubs and landscapes that citizens have poured their lifetimes in, it may be a very easy, rational solution due to the fact that water sources are so relatively close to the affected area. I'm sure Dustin and his team have already thought of this, but just want to mention it in case it had been overlooked or not given a serious consideration. If Mayor or Council would like any help researching this or an availability list, please feel free to contact me. However, my main reason for wanting to be on the record this evening is regarding the Council and Mayor's proposed decision to move forward with the Station 4 relocation and construction on the proposed 5th and Bryan location. I personally presented data or spoke at 3 prior council meetings, so I'll try and make my comments brief. First of all, I feel for the firemen and the chief because they deserve and should have had a new fire station nearly 7 years ago when the city had the opportunity to build a joint/use facility on the airport for less than $4 million. Not to mention the additional cost to taxpayers of the airport and the city being unable to enjoy an FAA-approved mutually benefiting agreement of our services in trading for joint use land release. Why did this project not get built in 2016 after hundreds of thousands of dollars and months of design and negotiations? That answer is easy. There was no communication, collaboration, or partnering between the airport owners and the airport. The result of the previous council's poor decision to not move forward with that opportunity then resulted in the city's knee-jerk reaction to buy the property at 5th and Bryden and thus remove it from the tax rolls forever at a very modest estimate of $30,000 to $35,000 per year, similar to what the business across the adjacent both pay currently. All of us that have either been elected or have been appointed to find ways to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money understand how hard it is to try and find ways to save everywhere we can in a budget while still making sure the needs of the taxpayers are taken care of. It's no easy task, and normally you only get one chance on decision, as large and long-lasting as this. All of you get a very rare chance tonight to not make the same mistake that the airport was forced into making by the previous council. Building a fire station on one of the most prime pieces of real estate the city has to offer when you have numerous parcels available that you already own, thus allowing you to immediately sell the property, recognize a very healthy profit due to a favorable market, and put those additional funds towards your already shortfall building fund, or perhaps other important necessary projects that appear to be a much higher priority. I promise you this is not the same airport board management team that had failed the city and its citizens in the past. We will work quickly and efficiently with the city to make sure the perfect location is chosen that not only makes even more sense than your current location, but it will also give the city and the airport opportunity to once again work together on a joint use facility if that need may arise in the future. This will allow the city to build on a location which the facility can grow with the community and more importantly take advantage of all those important seconds that may make the difference in saving someone's life, as Chief Michael Bus so perfectly states. The Fifth and Brighton location is not that location.
The multiple sites that the airport has identified would all suit the city better than what is being proposed tonight. I'm sure in this building climate and economy, your consultant should be more than agreeable to transfer all of the good work until now into the correct location and site. If they aren't willing to do so, hire a new consultant because that is not what a good partner does when a better opportunity presents itself with taxpayer dollars. In closing, please don't make the mistake that the previous council and airport made, resulting in costing taxpayers millions of dollars in lost or wasted revenue. In the end, if it takes a few more months or even a year to do this correctly, no one will ever remember that pause that led to a great decision. If you do decide to press on and build the station on the proposed site, and if, and this is a very big if, the traffic study and plan is not accurate or favorable and the city continues to come up short with tax revenue for required projects, we will all be reminded of it forever. Respectfully, Gary Peters, 1915 Cherry Street, Parson, Washington, and 609 Grell Avenue, Lewiston.
Thank you, Councilor. Council, next up, we move to agenda item 4, presentations. The first item is a proclamation, Public Works Week, declaring the week of May 21st, 2023 as National Public Works Week. And I'm just going to read it from here. City of Lewiston proclamation, whereas public works services provided in our community are an essential part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems, that includes stormwater quality, GIS, engineering, water and wastewater services, street preservation, traffic control, and solid waste collection, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the dedicated efforts and skills of public works personnel. And whereas this year's theme, Connecting the World Through Public Works, is about how public works professionals always enhance the lives of the communities they serve. And now, therefore, I, Daniel Johnson, Mayor of the City of Lewiston, Idaho, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st, 2023 as National Public Works Week in the City of Lewiston, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Given under my hand and seal of the City of Lewiston this 8th day of May, 2023, Mayor Daniel Johnson. Director Johnson, I don't have a proclamation, a signed one to hand to you, but if you'd like to share a couple words, please.
I would. Thank you, Mayor. Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. I think you guys have gotten an earful of me, probably too much of me over the last 3 months. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to share with you that Public Works is not just me. It's 70 plus employees that make up all of the different departments that you outlined in that proclamation. And Lewiston is blessed to have a community like Lewiston, but also to have a city made up of public works employees who take pride in their job and want to see the city do well, and they want to, in turn, do well at their own job. So The investment that the community has made with the water treatment plant renovations, the wastewater treatment plant renovations, the well, the new reservoir, the intake, pipelines. In some manners, it's an inconvenience. In other ways, tonight's public comment has kind of instilled in me the importance of the work that we do. And it's hard for me sometimes to hear things like that talks about when you know about our department, that means we weren't successful in what we do because something has gone wrong. And just in the last year, it's really been built on me of the importance that we do. I like to nudge my coworkers in the emergency services because, respect what they do, and I couldn't do what they do, but, I don't see a lot of diamond plating on some of our equipment and the pretty new fire trucks, but no, really, they do a lot of good themselves, and I appreciate everything that they do, but every now and then I like to get up here and tell you how good Public Works is and the employees that they are. One bit of fun news, on the 25th is the Public Works Expo at the Nez Perce County Fairgrounds. That is an all-day event. We are sending that out to all the school kids within the valley, and in this year we're even getting Genesee, so this is an opportunity for even adults, city council, anybody who wants to learn about what Public Works does. We will have everybody from Nez Perce County, City of Lewiston, Clarkston, Asotin County, everybody over there showing the big trucks, the pumps, the pipes, the water, everything that we do, and give everybody a good taste of what Public Works does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Director. Councilors, next up, we have proclamation for Historic Preservation Month, declaring the month of May 2023 as Historic Preservation Month, and Ms. Katie Hollingshead is going to assist me in this effort. We have two items. The first one is a letter from Dr. Orman that Ms. Hollingshead will read, and then the proclamation, which I will read. So, Ms. Hollingshead, if you please introduce yourself for the record, and then the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor, my name is Katie Hollingshead. I'm Assistant City Planner. I am also the staff liaison for our Historic Preservation Commission, who is coming in front of you tonight with a request for a proclamation. One of our long-term members, Dr. Dennis Ortman, was unable to attend, but sent a letter in his absence that he asked me to read to you. Honorable Mayor Johnson and fellow councilors, you, as a part of the city's history and its human fabric, are set to honor the preservation of our history. Arriving 54 years ago, Lewiston meant little to me beyond a $6,400 job, treeless streets, and stagnant air infused with chemicals. Sminicum held little meaning, and as a carpenter's son, I saw old buildings whose sagging facades betrayed the good bones of the structures and the wealth of guarded stories. Native Americans were only lore to me, not the beauty in the tactic souls, the skin of hues, and the dancing eyes of bright Nez Perce students before me, learning. I wanted out. Well, I fell in love. Love wasn't just for the future Dr. and Mrs. Ortman, but for a city that had dreams of a robust economy and one that exposed its soul to me with rich stories of its past. Since I had made it far less money than a mill worker and had to survive on my academic ego, historic preservation was an elusive term. Former Councilor Gary Bush hit me with the proverbial 2x4 of truth. Dennis, you have lived in Latin America and Spanish history. It is time you learn more about where you live and its history. So I took the challenge. The written history was fascinating. The people with me on the streets and those who kicked dirt clods on the way into saloons, brothels, barbershops, and churches before me took on character. I strolled in the evenings through a cemetery, scouting out my own real estate, eager to learn what it might have been like to walk in the footsteps of Lewiston's ancestors. Long before architectural design of parapets, finials, and outcropped brick designs here in Lewiston piqued my interest, leading to years now on the Historic Preservation Commission, I saw so many reactions to old buildings. For some in Lewiston, they were fodder for a wrecking ball, for others an irritation, and to others still a treasure. Those whose ancestors built the houses, lived in them, stacked the mortared brick, or cut the timbers, preservation meant something. My own transformation came with knowledge, especially at the I can't say that word. Sisson Quintennial That's a good one, okay. Time, pride, shone bright. We would love to have saved every element of the past, but we understand too the clashes of culture and reality. As you make your proclamation, I exhort you to look at Lewiston with an eye into its history. The buildings we see and preserve are functional and often beautiful and inviting. You, however, are preserving and promoting the preservation of so much more. The business buildings house with the excitement of small children buying penny candy. The smell of caramel corn, the dreams of owners, their arguments, their fear of fires, their smoke-filled conversations, their pleasures, their sacrifices, their mistakes, their trust, their costumes and laughter, their coffins and furniture, their experiences, their wealth and stature, and certainly their roles in the development of what we honor with preservation. Today, when someone comes before us in the commission, they start with doubt for fear that we will dampen their new dreams to decorate, to make money, to become entrepreneurs like a Volmer, a McCann, an Alfred, a Vassar. They most often leave our meeting with encouragement and gratitude for their investment. Those of us who now wear the wrinkles of time in Lewiston are confident that you will see more and more to preserve of our past, for you too are part of the human fabric woven into the history of a city that we both value and want to save.
Thank you, Katie.
So this is a couple of my commissioners from the Historic Preservation Commission. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Ed King, I'm a vice chair.
Kaylee Philippi. And Lisa Hasnerall.
And we thank you for your service and for being here tonight. Thank you. Better put these on, or I'm making up some words too. Proclamation. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 as a way to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling nation and community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. And whereas the City of Lewiston recognizes the value of historic preservation as an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas many Lewiston residents, groups, and organizations work hard to preserve Lewiston's past for future generations. And whereas the City of Lewiston has had an active Historic Preservation Commission and a designated historic district since 1976, and whereas the City of Lewiston became a certified local government in 2001, demonstrating a strong commitment to historic preservation, and whereas the City of Lewiston continues to demonstrate its commitment to preservation through ongoing historic survey work, the expansion of our local historic district, the protection of our traditional neighborhoods and historic downtown, the integration of historic elements with redevelopment, and the recognition, rehabilitation, and restoration of historic properties. Now, therefore, I, Dan Johnson, Mayor of the City of Lewiston, Idaho, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Historic Preservation Month in the City of Lewiston, and encourage all citizens to join me in this special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal of the City of Lewiston, Idaho, to be affixed hereto this 8th day of May, 2023. Daniel G. Johnson, Mayor, Lewiston, Idaho. Thank you. Okay, councilors, thank you. Next, we move to our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the councilor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items moved from the consent agenda. Councilors? Councilor Lidke?
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Lidke, seconded by Counselor Schroeder to approve the consent agenda. Is there discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
It's a,
Oh, it is a roll call. That was just a test run.
Council
Clerk
President Lidke.
Ravencroft.
aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder.
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Thank you, councilors. Next, we move to our active agenda, item 6A, warming shelter update. This is an update provided by Councilor Forsman. Councilor Forsman, the floor is yours.
Okay, so we had received an email from a fellow citizen asking kind of for an update. There's not a lot, but I figured in light of keeping everybody in the know, I wanted to say it at a meeting so that way everyone is aware. As well as Rick Towsley and I both answered this citizen, but this way I can, for all to hear. So initially the temporary warming shelter ordinance was created so that a temporary warming shelter facility could be erected with the expiration of March. The city did this to get out of the way for this purpose. The owners of the property tentatively agreed in principle to allow the structure. However, the lease agreement was never signed. These were issues between the owner and the group wanting to put the structure up. The city had no involvement at that point. And so hopefully, maybe in the future we can revisit that, but that is really as far as that went. So I'm sorry I didn't have more, but I wanted to make sure that the public was aware of where that went.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselors, is there further discussion? Okay. Thank you, Council. Next, we move to item B, Resolution 2023-22. APSCO South Shore Pump Sole Source, considering approval of a sole source resolution 2023-22, declaring APSCO LLC as the only reasonably available vendor for Wemco specialty pumps. This is an action item. Director Johnson, if you'd please introduce yourself. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. In front of you tonight, as the Mayor has already outlined, a sole source request for the APSCO South Shore pump. So just for reference, there is North Shore and South Shore, and so we are sitting on the banks. It's a little confusing, but we basically pump wastewater from this side of the river, under the river, to where the wastewater treatment plant is almost directly across from the river from us. The South Shore pumps were designed specifically for this type of pump, so it is not really feasible to go out and solicit bids for different pumps, as these are the only pumps that would serve that purpose. As the memo outlined, these pumps need to be replaced. They're a bit spendy. Everything is outlined within there. They are $61,045 plus shipping. I don't think I have much more detail other than this has been sole sourced before back in December of 2015. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Director. Councilors?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Lidke?
Director Johnson, could you just quickly explain what that sole source means so we understand why there's no...
Yeah, so my understanding generally, and I'm not the purchasing person, but generally say, the example that was always taught to me was everybody lived off of Microsoft Windows back in the day. And so if your interface was that specific type of computer, it was not feasible for you to have one employee or one function work off of Apple or something else. It's kind of the same thing for public work stuff where you have components in there that are specifically designed for a certain type of manufacture, and that's exactly what this one is, where it is a pump. You need to connect the manufactured pump to the specific guts of the piping, and so if we were to get any other type of pump, it wouldn't fit for our needs.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Towsley?
Yeah, thank you, Director Johnson. So this pump has been in place since 2015?
I'm not sure when the upgrades took place, but yeah, that was when the original solar source was done. I think that was when they did the upgrades to these particular pumps.
Okay. And you've seen signs that
the one that's in place is in need of replacement?
Yeah, so we try and cycle through one a year, because I think what did it say? We have 3, and we usually like to have one on the shelf for replacement because these are so important. I think I gave this before, I think it was about a year ago, we had another pump. So for some reason, we're a little out of sync right now. Typically, if you replace one a year, you kind of keep up on maintenance, but we had one go early, and so we've corrected that, but we're trying to catch up now. Essentially, if these pumps fail, this building and the Tribune building across the street, that's where the sewer starts backing up.
Boy, thank you.
Councilors, further questions? Councilor Schroeder?
Is it appropriate for a motion?
Motion's in order.
I don't have my little red line sheet, but I want to make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-22, APSCO Sole Source.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Townsley to approve Resolution 2023-22, APSCO South Shore Pump Sole Source. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Ravencroft?
Council President Lidke.
Aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder.
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye. Thank you, councilors. Next up, we have active agenda item 6C, Progressive Design Build Agreement between Amendment Number 3, Contract Price Amendment, Phase 2 GMP Proposal. Considering accepting the Phase 2 GMP proposal provided by Core West Incorporated is set forth in the contract price amendment in the amount of up to $7,771,054 for Phase 2 of the Fire Station 4 project, which includes the following completion of the 100% design, procurement of all materials and equipment, performance of construction services, substantial completion, final completion, development of various documents associated with Phase 2, training of the city's operations staff, and provision of warranty services. This is an action item, and we have our Fire Chief, Travis Michaelbus, here tonight to speak to you about this. Chief Michaelbus, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record. Remember to speak up loudly and clearly. This is a very important topic, and everyone wants to hear what you have to say. So with that, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Travis Michaelbus, Fire Chief. What you have in front of you is the contract plan amendment for Phase 2 of this project. I have been in front of you many, many times on this project. Actually, I've been in front of a plethora of city council members, 3 mayors, 2 city managers, and a form of government change. So I've seen all gamuts of this. I first must apologize to all of you. For my last council item, I wanted to leave you with a very large document. I apologize for the length of that document, but that is the legal document that we needed to have in front of you. Because I am the institutional knowledge that we'll be leaving in 3 weeks, I wanted to make sure that you had all factors in front of you. And so in my council history, I kind of lined out. I actually realized this morning that I had actually made a minor mistake on that based upon the budget impact, because Core had recommended the city to carry over about a $300,000 kind of cushion based upon the construction elements when they did their bid versus where we are today, which was actually 5 months ago. It is actually, I'm trying to paint the worst case scenario, the top line of what the city would ever have to pay out of the GMP, plus figuring in the cost of that $300,000, figuring out any type of equipment that you're going to need to put into that station. Figuring in, I did add back in the station alerting system to compare an apple to an apple. I think it's very important for that to be in the station if we're going to move forward with that. And then the last is the consideration of an owner agent because of my departure and the breadth of this project having that. So with that, you are looking at a shortfall of $2.1 million. That is the top of what it ever could be. I would expect it will be far less than that. We have $6.4 million that is in the bank as of today. It's allotted in this current fiscal year. This project will go through fiscal year FY24 and into FY25. And with that, I don't have any other presentation. I'm here to stand for any questions. You have a lot of documents in front of you, and I'm happy to answer what I can.
Thank you, Chief. Well, we're going to take our time and get this right, so who's first?
Mayor,
Counselor Lidke?
is Core West on the line as well?
They're not.
I'm sorry, what was the question and answer?
Is Core West on the line? They're not on the line.
Oh, they're not on the line.
That's disheartening, because most of my questions were for them, so I hate to put you on the spot.
I'll do my best.
Can you explain the Phase 2 lump sum and how we won't know savings if there is any until project is complete? And is that, I could have missed it before, but I've not seen that line, and it threw me a little bit to understand why that would be something they would ask for.
So this is actually very standard, and we actually met with Mark Hilty, who is the attorney that we've utilized, that's a very good subject matter expert in the progressive design build. When you do the progressive design builds, when they set a guaranteed max price, you have the option of running that out month by month, or you can do the guaranteed lump sum, which means that you will not ever exceed that, but you won't know how everything settles because they go month by month as they're procuring everything. And so the settlement comes at the very end. And so that's kind of how that falls into it. That is a decision. It's in the contract. They are recommending that. When we actually talked to Mr. Hilty, he also said that's very common. And the more I've researched, I believe that's probably the best process. It's the cleaner process for the city if you were to move forward with the contract plan amendment. So that's kind of how you wrap it up, is at the very end, those savings as it goes through would then be 100% back to the city of Lewisville.
Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Towsley?
Thank you. Chief Michael Buss, I've been here about a year and a half, and it seems like when this first came up to us, the new city council, the numbers were less than 6. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So in a year and a half, it's gone up to almost, 7.8, 7.9. Okay.
Mayor.
Counselor Forsman?
I don't remember, and I might have asked this already, but are they willing to, if we decide we do not want to proceed with that location, to help us with a different location?
You have the options that are outlined in the contract. Once that is done, you can make the decision after that to enter into another agreement with them, but this contract is for this specific site on this project. But they would entertain that. The city has that ability to look at that. Whether they would want to based upon scope, when that project would move forward, all those factors would be in, so I cannot answer for Core. But the option is there.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Counselor Lidke?
Sorry, I just opened the 1,000-page document and it froze. So I'm going to, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I was hoping to reference, I believe, this may have been referenced in your letter, but maybe not. But a line that stated that the GMP does not include alerting system, and that would cost an additional $200,000. Can you speak to that and what that alerting system is?
You bet. So currently, we do not have an alerting system. It's becoming more of the standard in fire agencies, and this would purchase the backbone of the system and that was part of our strategic plan of having this built into the station, putting the backbone, which basically when a call comes in, it immediately sends a trigger from the dispatch center so we get early notification. This would shorten the window to get us out the door quicker. So that would go into this station, and then because of having the backbone, that then would allow us to retrofit the other 2 stations down the road, which is definitely something that I would strongly recommend if you go into it. But station alertings are to alert the individuals. They build it into the stations where they have clocks, so you actually set performance measures. So if we say we want to be out the door in 60 seconds, 90% of the time, As soon as the alert goes, it starts a clock so that firefighters can see that. So that's the backbone of it. I believe very much in that, and that's why I threw that back in as a consideration that if you were to do this, I would definitely look to find that money because it sets forward moving all the other stations down the road into that. And it takes some workload off of our dispatchers, which I know Chief Husick would very much appreciate if we could do that because they are very overloaded and it allows that movement. So that's kind of the background of that station alerting system.
Councilor Lidke?
It sounds like a great tool, so I guess my question is, if we were to not move forward with Phase B, is that something that could be installed in any of our current stations?
It would cost you, and you still have to build that backbone, so you would have to go in with that. You're still gonna look probably at that $200,000 for the backbone, and then you gotta figure out how to retro the existing stations, but yes, it is very doable.
Okay, I'll just ask the question without any information. Technology is, I can't find what I want. Okay, sorry. You had probably laid this out at option 1 and option 2? Was that you that provided that information to us? And I'm just going from a foggy memory. Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I was looking for it in here, though.
Would you like another counselor while you take a look at that, or you want us to?
No, I think I can, because with option 1, we can have a core complete phase 1. And phase 1, they've mostly done that anyway.
Phase 1A and B have been completed. They've delivered the 60% design and the contract and the GMP, which is what's in front of you tonight. So that they have completed that portion.
And we paid for that? Okay, so that's all paid for.
Yep.
And so we could let Core go and go on to their subcontractor, which is, who's the other person?
Architects West and the
Yes,
engineers. Yep.
yes.
You could look in to try to negotiate with them to finish out the design. But that just finishes the design. They are not a contractor, so the council will still have to go out and secure a contractor. And it turns the project from a progressive design build into a design bid build. But that's exactly what will take place.
It's where it is right now, isn't it?
It really is. Yep.
Because they're not following the contract.
It's a magnitude of things. I will tell you that you got to remember is we had a city manager who brought forward this idea. He was no longer here. This is the first one I've ever done, first one the city of attorney. We learned through this. There's just a magnitude of things, but yes, it has progressed away from the really original progressive design build that I had in my mind versus what we have in front of us today.
And no open book for us to know what it is they're billing us or, so I'm, stay with this, I am willing to go beyond Core. And so if we let Core go, we have to find a replacement for them, or we would take on the other subcontract?
The progressive design build contract states that if you don't do the contract plan amendment, you don't approve, so that's kind of option 1, then you would have to pick one of the other 5 options that are in. 1 is to terminate, 2 is to terminate, and then seek to work with Architects West and the engineer to see if they would finish design. The key is, where are you, for the council, I would strongly urge, if you're going that route, is decide where are you going to put that station. Because if you move that station to a different location, that station and what they've done in the 60% design is designed for that lot. Elevations, that lot has an 8-foot drop from one corner. So they would have to do a lot of tweaking with that. So it's just not going to move. So you would want to, if you're going to stay at the current spot, then you could easily move that. If you're looking to maneuver to a different location, I would definitely seek out, and I would recommend you visit with All West and have that conversation with them, with Architects West.
I was considering staying where we were is my train of thought at this point in time. So then we would have to hire someone beyond the west?
You would have to hire, they're just architects, so they would
Okay.
design your station, and then the city would have to go out and do an actual bid process, and you'd have to hire a general contractor to manage that project, and then bid all of the subs out, and then you would move forward with it.
So that was not is that what Core would have done?
Core was gonna manage the whole project, so yeah,
Oh, they
that's
would
kind of
have
what they do.
managed that, but that's what they would have done.
That's correct. That's why they have the 5% progressive design build contract, is because they're managing that. That's their fee for managing the construction and all of the subs.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
thank you.
Counselor Lidke?
So you mentioned the 5%, but we're being overcharged.
Depends how you read the contract. I mean, it truly, it's how you read that contract, and we read it one way and they read it another way.
Follow up,
Counselor Lidke?
first a comment. I don't like to go into a contract if both parties are reading a contract differently, so that brings some concern. Just gonna cut to the chase. $1.8 million shortfall, and as to Councilor Towsley's comment that it's grown by about that much since we've been on the council, I'm assuming that the only place we go for that is the taxpayers, unless the staff has an alternate route that I have not been made aware of.
I'm not the money person. I don't know if Amy or her staff, if they have ideas of where that additional funding could come from.
Counselor Spickelmeyer?
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, because it's been brought up so much about the alternate location over by the airport on 4th, can you, in your opinion, do you have pros and cons of that location versus the 5th Avenue?
You know, one is you're going to have to go back in, you're do a traffic analysis, and you're going to have to truly put an intersection in there with the deal. That, I don't have a clue what that, I know what the small amount of alerting we were going to do. It will improve the response times to the Elks. It will add about 30 seconds response time to the Tree Streets, which is our highest populated call volume with the worst response we have in the city. So any direction that, if I was to say the best direction, is moving more north of the 5th and Bryden spot, because it gets us closer to where our call volume is that deserves the best response times. That is where we are missing the mark every day by greater than a minute on every call. So it adds a little time. I mean, it's better than where we currently are. The 4th and Bryden spot is good. You're just going to have to look at the layout. I would tell you, if I was going to do it, I would not take the design that we currently have. We designed that for that piece of property at 5th and Bryden. I would definitely look at drive-through bays, because you're going to have more land, you're going to have more options for it. So I would definitely say, if you go to an alternative location, wherever it is, I would not stick with just the design that we came forward with. That design was for that piece of property based upon the topography and the restrictions we had with it. But yeah, the 4th and Bryden is a good piece. I mean, when we did our study, when we brought in the contractors to do the station analysis, that was one of the areas that was targeted, moving more towards the north, between 4th and 5th, north of Bryden, anywhere in there. The problem is it's limited scope of available property without having to buy up people's homes and you know, tear them down and then put a station in there.
Counselor Spickelmeyer?
So I was looking at Mr. Peters' letter here. So if we were to add, put it on the airport, would adding that ARF function, wouldn't that be a plus for the city and the airport?
Well, the deal is, I'm the only person sitting in this entire room or that was there during the initial back in the 2014 and 15. The FAA requires that you have to have full visibility of the runways unless they've changed their requirements. You can't see the runways from that, and from that station, can you get to the centermost part of the runway within 3 minutes? That's the FAA's requirement. At the current station, we would hit it at about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Moving that, I don't know what that would be. So that would be something that would have to be proven by the FAA, the airport and stuff. So I don't have enough information, but I know what it was at the current site that we have at Station 4 today, what our times were there. But I do know they strongly recommend. Now that is if they're gonna put money towards that project. And when we did the fire station, when we were gonna do the combined, we were looking at federal FAA funds for that. If there's no FAA funds, they may allow it as long as you can get to the center part within 3 minutes. So that could still be an option out there, but I've not done enough research and seen how you get across that road of where it cuts through the airport. I mean, there would have to be a lot of design stuff to figure in. It's all doable, but that site was never, it was a ball field back when we started this whole project, so I never had any of that in my brain as we work things through.
Understand.
Yep.
Thanks.
Counselor Lidkey?
Thank you, Chief Michael Buss. You mentioned that if you were to do anything, you would move more north. And I'm gonna just caveat this, that I had to think about, and I almost turned around to make sure I was in the right direction. But I think I'm correct, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But wouldn't the Station 3, which is now the sign shop, be more north? And can you speak to where would we be with timings? Because if I remember correctly, the places that fires are starting to happen more often are right there in that area.
So you would, reopening Station 3 and putting a fire engine there would meet and improve your response times to the Tree Street areas. You still have to have a fire station 4, so you're still gonna have to. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add, having to have apparatus, and you're gonna need 3 personnel, that's 9 personnel, so you're looking at a significant increase, and I just don't know how the city could ever afford that. So that was why we never proposed trying to reintroduce Station 3 into it, because it's not cost prohibitive with the cost of the fire department today to add another station. That's why when they did the station analysis, when we looked at the East Orchards, which is our largest growing population, and the growth of our city, they looked and they said that remodeling Station 2 and leaving it where it is, and that growth to do that, versus adding a station out at like 23rd and Powers, because of the cost of equipping, and then, building a building's easy. Paying for a fire engine's not easy. I mean, it's easier. It's, 9 personnel at $100,000 per person plus their equipment and stuff. That's where you get into the ongoing expense of probably an additional $1 million a year. And the only way to fund that is on the general fund property taxes. So that's why I've never brought forward restaffing Station 3, just because of that. But it would do it. There's no doubt about it. But you still have to have Station 4, because then you would get the other out of whack for that response area and come into those problems there.
Quick follow-up.
Counselor Lidkey?
And I guess the point of my question is I'm trying to wrap my head around, I've lived here pretty much my entire life, and I remember being at Station 3, so my concern is, I think that there's an example of a station that I don't remember being open very long before it was converted.
Close in the 80s.
Yeah. And my apprehension to this whole thing is that I see the city in a position of, we have to look at cost savings, more than likely consolidation. And so I'm trying to wrap my head around, how did we get what seems like a perfectly good building built, and then decisions were made, and the historical matters are gone, and I commend you for sticking it through as long as you have, with as many people as you have. That's one of the pitfalls of government, is the change in face and the decisions that are made. This one weighs very heavy on me, and I'll be interested to hear from Director Gordon on the cost, because I think for me, I'm not gonna lie to you or the public, I did not read thoroughly 1,003 pages. We were in meetings all last week, but I did go through and see that it lined out from the HVAC to the, every little thing. So I appreciated that. But there are some concerns that, again, the relationship with CORE in general, I feel like they wanted to project hunky-dory. And again, my questions were mainly for them of why the wait to the progression of 60% and then to project the project with, really, I don't know that I saw parameters, and there wasn't a lot of transparency, trying to break down why we had that increase. In fact, I think in one of the letters was, they just preferred it that way. And I think that was actually the phrase, or very close to it. And so, I appreciate that you're up here answering questions. And I probably have more. I have probably 5 pages of notes, and, this is an important decision that I think we all are trying to weigh. So if Director Gordon could answer that financial question for me, that's really where.
Director Gordon.
Good evening, Amy Gordon, City Treasurer. The answer to the question is the additional 2.1 million could come from the assigned building fund if you were to continue to fund it in fiscal year 24 and potentially even spread that out into fiscal year 25. If we were to bid it out tomorrow, it wouldn't break ground until October, and it would be a year and a half probably before completion. So you would be carrying this project into 24 and 25. So you could put some additional funding into the assigned building fund to get it up to that additional 2.1 million in the current tax base.
Follow-up.
Councilor.
Can you just explain for the public how we build that fund? Where does those funds come from?
So the assigned building fund has come from, initially there was a levy of foregone taxes of a little over $1 million. And then once that additional levy happened, it then folded into our tax base. And then there has been some closures of URA districts that increased our tax base, and though that increment in our tax base has continued to be dedicated to the assigned building fund, which is how we've accumulated the over 6 million that's there today. That would be cash in the bank that would fund the project. And then should the project move forward and you continue to dedicate funding that account, those dedicated tax dollars, that's where the money could come from.
Thank you, Director.
Mayor?
Councilor Forsman.
And I don't remember the terminology, but you mentioned with the response time, I think is it insurance companies or something could raise due to, or I don't know if it's homeowners insurance, I can't remember.
The survey and rating for your homeowners insurance. Yeah, right now we are sitting good, and that would be if we were to vacate and not have Station 4, that would be an issue. Over time, though, they do look at where your response times are. We'll be reevaluated in 3 years, and there is a new evaluation tool at that, so they do look at those things. So that will something that will always come in front of council as you look, and they base it upon, there's a multitude of factors. Response times is only one small element, your staffing numbers, how soon can you assemble the required fire force, those are all kind of factors into it. So right now it is not negatively impacting our survey and rating. Down the road it could. You gotta remember is when Station 4 was built, the tree streets, literally at Stewart and one more road is all that was there. The rest of that was farmland. And then that's all been developed over the last, 35 years. And so that's why all of a sudden now we see that, and it is an aging population in that neighborhood. We have multiple extended care facilities, and I mean, I'll be honest, transparent, I live in that area, and I've had firefighters recently tell me, geez, Chief, can we park an engine in your driveway? Because we're there 3 or 4 times every day in that neighborhood, and it is what it is. It's just the nature of that beast. But right now, it's not impacting our survey and rating today, but I can't tell you what it will look like down the road, but we are good right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Towsley.
I'd just like to throw something in that's kind of off just a little bit, in that I'm I'm extremely concerned with the loss of institutional knowledge we're going to have in 3 weeks. I don't believe that in any time that you've stood before this body that we've ever thrown a question that you didn't have the full extent of the knowledge for that, and I really appreciate that. And this is a tough one. It's an extremely tough one. And I think whoever is going to be taking your position has, they're going to have some big shoes to fill. So, okay, we can keep going now.
Chief Michael Best, if you covered this already, I apologize, but on the agenda item history sheet, option 2 says that if the council votes not to accept the Phase 2 GMP, then council would need to provide some direction.
That is
You can't
correct.
just say no, you have to say no and then tell us what to do.
Yep, it's outlined in that because that is in our contract and we're going to hold to our contract that was signed in December of 2021. And so that is the requirements that we would want to make sure. And I've outlined those options, what you have. You can terminate, pay core, walk away from the project, kind of hit pause. You could, walk away. You could look to work with Architects West, see if they are willing to do that. You have a few things, but a lot of that is kind of carrying through to finish really the 100% design. And then once you've got that, that's really where it stops at that stage with this portion, because then you would have to go out and, like I said, acquire a general contractor and bid out the project. We morphed it into a true design, bid, build, and that design would be, you got to pick your spot. So current spot, you're pretty well good because we have a very good design, but if you're looking at an alternative spot, then I would say you probably want to hit a pretty hard reset to truly look at that, have a conversation with Architects West and see if they're interested in wanting to move forward anymore with that. But I can't speak for them, but that would be something you all could do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilors, if you'd like, we could recess for 10 minutes. That would allow you maybe to clear your minds, get a drink of water or something, think about this, and then come back and ready to make a decision, or you want to just move forward?
I'm ready to make a motion.
I would like the page number of the 1,600 pages. That's the trouble I'm having navigating through this, to go back to the options.
Find the
It's
1,600.
in the council history packet, which I believe is page 55 out of your entire council packet of that PDF. I believe if you go to page 55, roughly in there. Why I know that number, it's sad, but I'm pretty close. It's right there.
Is that under the DBIA?
Yeah, it's just before that. I took the information out of the DBIA, tried to make it easy, and so I pasted that into my council history agenda item. And I think in the packet, it's like page 54. I was close. I was one number off.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm slipping, yeah.
And I marked it.
You guys need to get rid of me, I guess.
Document, I don't think.
Council, why don't we just give the body just a minute here to pull it up, take a quick look at it.
Could I get a clarification?
Councilor Towesley?
Thank you. Chief Michael Bus, I'm looking at that page. Number 2 is terminate the agreement, pay core for all work performed through date of terminate, and contract directly with the design consultants, quote, Architects West, and design sub-consultants. And then number 3 is require core to proceed with remaining phase 1 scope of service, which they have completed, for the agreed upon contract price for phase 1 services, minus payments for all work performed through the date of termination. I'm not sure, can those two be combined?
So if you wanted to take, because phase 1 in reality, when we took the progressive design build template, we broke it into phases. Normally phase 1 takes you all the way to 100% design, so you're at the full element. And really what that element is you want to work with core to work with Architect West to take it to a full design, so you have that. You also have the option previous to that, which is a much cleaner version, I would think, in working with. You kind of take out the middle person. If you're going to leave core there, I would say go that route if you plan to utilize core as your general. If not, I would probably not look towards that option. But that's kind of what that option means.
Okay, thank you.
Looking, I think your top options are kind of your best ones
Okay.
moving forward.
Motion's in order.
I would move to reject the Phase 2 GMP proposal provided by Core West, Inc., and terminate the agreement and pay Core for all work performed through the date of termination.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidke, second by Councilor Schroeder. If I understand this right, I'll just simplify it. To terminate the agreement and pay core for all work performed through the date of termination. Is that the motion, Councilor?
Yeah.
Correct.
Councilor Schroeder, is that what you seconded?
Yes.
Mayor, and can I just clarify, I heard on the front end that it was rejecting the Phase 2 GMP proposal. Was that correct?
Yes, and I wasn't sure if that was needed. I
Yes.
assumed it was.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So, is that like option 2, step 1?
Yes.
So I will restate the motion then. It's been moved by Councilor Lidke, second by Councilor Schroeder to reject the Phase 2 GMP proposal / contract price as presented and terminate the agreement and pay core for all work performed through the date of termination. Am I closer? It's been moved and seconded. Okay, is there discussion? Councilor Schroeder.
Oh, thank you. Okay. No, this is fine then. I'm fine with the motion.
Mr. Mayor, if I could speak to my motion.
You get the last word, actually.
First of all, I want to make a commitment, as I've made to several of your firemen, and I want to make it to you, that this is in no means that I'm walking away from making sure your men are safe and have the equipment necessary. It doesn't mean that we don't revisit, but it is that I'm worried on more than one level, and not just because of the cost of this, that we are going to lose a tax base that would be even able to furnish the rest of that $1.8 million. Those are the conversations I'm having and have to carry with me. And to quote a friend that I was leaning on for advice, said, remember the old Sunday school song about building your house on sand? I just cannot move forward with this. And I want to apologize for the councils before me that probably should have made sure that your retirement was that you celebrated a fire station that was something that we could move forward the next few decades. And so I don't apologize for my motion, but I need you to know, Chief, that this means that I'm hearing from the public, and I want to protect the fact that we need to move forward in so many ways. And we need to be committed to figuring out how to be good at what we have and then grow. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Councillor Towesley?
Yeah, as I hear this right now, I'm a little confused because this means we're taking option 1. Is that correct? Or are we taking option 2? They're numbered.
Option 2, Councillor.
Option 2 means that we're also going to be contracting or talking directly with Architects West.
No. Councillor.
2, step 1. Am I not seeing that?
It's on page 54.
I had a comment.
Councillor Spickelmeyer?
Got it. Okay.
Mayor. And Chief, I'm with Councillor Lidkey. I 100% support improving the conditions out there at that station, but I don't think this contract's what we need. I don't think it fits us correctly, especially with our, current budget and even, national, it's not a good time for sure. And committing to that much money to me isn't the right thing right now. And I think we've heard a lot from our citizens with concerns about it, and a lot of people support the fire station, but not the location. And I don't know for sure myself, but I think it's more education, and as soon as we can, maybe bring it back forward to the council, for another option. I hate to kick it down the road, but that's kind of where I'm at as well.
Mayor?
Councillor Forsman?
I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work you've done on this. I know that this has been a lot of time and energy spent and meetings with previous councils. Myself, we've had meetings on this. And I was at first very excited to go through with this and make it happen. And then further into it, learning of an extra cost and the concerns of the citizen with the location, and maybe even possibly finding a location that we could build upon even more so and not be stuck within the parameters of that lot. I think could be a better solution. It is a bummer that we went so far to just kind of fizzle out, but your hard work, I don't feel like has went in vain. We've learned a lot, and the community has even got to learn a lot from this. Bummer on your way out, this is how the way it has to be, but I just commend you for all your hard work with this, and that you've done an amazing job for that. And in no way am I not for getting the solution fixed. I think we need to figure out the current station and make sure that our firemen are safe. I don't want to have them living in unsafe conditions. As Hannah has said, we need to make sure we address that. And that my gut is telling me this is not the good solution going forward with this. And it is unfortunate that that's where we are at this point today.
Councillor Towesley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had a couple conversations, and I've been in support of building this firehouse. And I wasn't in opposition with the location because, it's a funny thing, when you do science and you have a lot of studies that are done on it, it finds that in fact it's not a bad place because it can work there. The thing that's a stopping point for me is that it's so expensive at a time when all of us have been just pounded with property taxes. It's a horrible timing. It's a timing issue. And for me, that's why I'm backing away from this. And I wish I could not. I wasn't coming here looking forward to saying this to you. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to have a fire station that's going to be providing that. And if you move it over to 4th, I wasn't advocating that by any means. That's closer to my subdivision. So, I might need you someday. So it's a tough situation. And I would add that I've also received a lot of interesting letters from people. And as a teacher who taught a lot of kids how to write, I said, make sure your tone is in a way that's not going to turn people off. And I got a lot of those. I'm happy to read anything anyone sends to me, but please don't check my intelligence, or please don't use the words common sense. If you looked at the stuff if you actually read what we read for this meeting, common sense is about understanding the full picture. And that's very deep. It's not common, actually. And so I just want to say that I will not support it. And I look to work, as Hannah has said, I will do everything I can as long as I'm on this council to get a fire station in place, because we obviously need it. And I hope the next person who's going to be ramrodding this will be half as knowledge-based as you've been for this. Thank you for all your work, and yeah, it's tough. Thank you.
Councilor Schroeder?
Thank you. I am definitely wanting to quit doing business with CORE. That has definitely been my whole objective of tonight. But I am not here to say that I am willing to walk away from that station that we have worked so hard on. I think that it needs to stay in consideration, and it needs to be looked at again. I think it is, we've done so much work. The work is beautiful. It will live a long time there and satisfy the needs of our community. It was well thought through, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of people that verbally are the loud people that don't support it, but I think that it is a good design and a good location. And a lot of work went into it. So I don't think we should just flush it at this point. But I am definitely willing to walk away from CORE.
Mayor,
Councilor Lidke?
could I ask one more time? I'm just going to take this opportunity, Travis, to remind you that this isn't your legacy. Your legacy is the lives you've saved and the men that you have brought alongside you. I can't wait to see what you do with young people that want to come into this industry. We need them. I think that if you want to add, teaching dispatchers what that's about too, I think that would be great. I really hope that you know that this council is not, we're nothing but proud of what this fire department has done and the lives you've saved. And in the last month, you've probably saved my dad twice. So please don't. This is just the right decision for our taxpayers, and that's the way we have to go. So thank you.
Councilors, if there are no more questions or comments, I'll save my comments for Mayor's comments. Clerk Ravencroft.
Council President Lidke.
Aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder.
Only rejecting CORE, correct? Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Councilors, next up, we have item 6D under the active agenda, RFP 23-014, Ward Library Janitorial Services 2023-2028. Considering the agreement between the City of Lewiston and Clearwater Cleaning Services for janitorial services at the city's library in the amount of $4,245 per month. This is an action item. We have with us Director Barker from Parks and Recs Department, who also handles facilities at the City of Lewiston. Director Barker, welcome. Please introduce yourself. Remember to speak up loudly and clearly so those at home can hear what you have to say. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tim Barker, Parks and Rec Director for the City of Lewiston. As mentioned, also oversee facilities. Parks, recreation, and facilities are the three major components within our department. In a little bit of history regarding this request for approval is we had a vacancy within our custodial position here at the library, and with any vacancy, we like to look at options that are available out there. So when the position became vacant as a city employee, we brought in a 6-month temporary contract with ABM. And so they brought custodial in. When evaluating that, we also worked with the library staff to figure out what is the best timing for someone to come in and clean the library. As in the past, it was very difficult for them to come in the morning for a few hours and then kind of disappear or find other things to do while they got busy. So really talking through the history since we opened this facility, it seemed like our best route was to look at an evening custodial program. We didn't want to bring one of our own staff members in the evening because there would be no supervision as well as a city employee, so that didn't really make sense again, so that's why we went with ABM on a temporary. Back in September, we opened up for bid the opportunity for companies to submit proposals. At that time, in November, we only received, when the bids closed, we only received one bid, and that was from ABM. We asked you at that time in November or December to reject the bid, as it was about $35,000 over what our budget was of $56,000. And so ABM stuck through with the city through the end of March. And since then, we have been utilizing current custodial to fill the void, but it's also very taxing on the other buildings at the same time, and this facility not getting the attention that it needs to. Luckily, when we put it out for rebid, we did get 4 proposals that came in. One of them was under budget, which was exciting to see. The 4 proposals, I'll say real briefly, give a lot of props and thanks to the purchasing division because of their legwork that they did to reach out to local contractors to be able to find somebody that could come in and take on this role. So what we have in front of you is a proposal to approve an agreement between the city and Clearwater Cleaning Services. It would be a 5-year agreement from 2023 to 2028. Within that agreement, as the mayor mentioned, it would equate to $4,245 per month with an annual cost of just under $51,000 at $50,940, which again is about $5,000 under what our budgeted amount was, which was essentially our employee salary plus benefits. So what we're requesting tonight is for approval of this contract moving forward.
Thank you, Director. Councilors? Councilor Spicklemeyer.
So just clarification so I follow you, it was originally a city employee that used to do just one?
Just this facility, yeah, on their own.
And just one person?
Correct.
And then they left, so you had a vacancy. Okay, I'm with you.
Yep. Yeah, and part of their proposal is they would utilize multiple staff.
And that person wasn't backfilled?
Was not. No, that's when we went to ABM in a temporary basis to fulfill the need that was in the building here.
Understood, thanks.
Yep.
Councilor Lidke?
You mentioned that there'd be no supervision. Who will be overseeing the contract to make sure that they are?
So I kind of rambled quickly through that. There will be supervision. If we were to have gone with a city staff person and put them on a night schedule, we would not have an on-site supervisor to watch over them. They are required as part of the agreement to have an on-site or a supervisor available through the contract.
Follow-up.
Councilor Lidke?
I think my question is more geared towards who in the, or is it, will it be you or Valerie, or will it be the director of the library ensuring that the cleanliness is to a standard that we would accept?
I would guarantee you that Lynn would not allow something to go untouched or missed. But the contract will be through my department, as this is a city facility. Obviously, what we do would be work closely with the library to make sure we do monthly building walkthroughs with our own custodial staff, so I don't see this being any different. Valerie would come and meet with Lynn and staff and check in and see how things are going. And there are a set list of required duties that they would have to complete as well, so we'll have checklists.
Councilor Schroeder?
Motion order?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'd like to approve, again, I don't have my red lines, but RFP-23-014, award library janitorial services, 2023-2028. Is that it? Oh, you want me to say it again? Okay. Motion to award RFP-23-014 to Clearwater Cleaning Services and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement between the city of Lewiston and Clearwater Cleaning Services. Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Forsman, to award RFP 23-014 to Clearwater Cleaning Services and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement between the city of Lewiston and Clearwater Cleaning Services. Is there further discussion? Clerk Ravencroft?
Council President Lidkey.
Aye.
Counselor Towesley.
Aye.
Counselor Forsman.
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder.
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Thank you, councilors. Next, we move to item F under the active agenda. Second, third readings of ordinance 4880, implementing the city council's decision in CNC 23-000002, declaring that certain real property be removed from the suburban residential R1 zone and included in the medium density residential R3 zone. This is an action item. Councilors?
Motion.
Councilor Forsman?
Motion to combine the second and third reading and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4880.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Forsman, second by Councilor Towesley, to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4880. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Towesley?
I'd also make the motion to approve second and third readings of ordinance number 4880.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Towesley, seconded by Councilor Schroeder, to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4880. Is there any discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Clerk Ravencroft?
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4880, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston implementing the city council's decision in ZNC 23-000002, declaring that certain real property be removed from the suburban residential R1 zone and included in the medium density residential R3 zone, amending the official zoning map of the city of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, next up, we have ordinance 4881, amending section 2-42, subsection C1 of the Lewiston City Code to expand the membership of the Public Works Advisory Commission.
Mayor.
Amending section 2-49, subsection I1 of the Lewiston City Code to include stormwater. This is an action item. Councilor Forsman?
Motion.
Motion's in order.
Motion to combine the second and third reading and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4881.
It's been moved by Councilor Forsman, seconded by Councilor Schroeder, to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4881. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Councilor Forsman?
Approve second and third readings.
Oh, sorry. Motion to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4881.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Forsman, second by Councilor Schroeder to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4881. Is there discussion or amendments? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Clerk Ravencroft.
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4881, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending Section 2-42, C(1) of the Lewiston City Code to expand the membership of the Public Works Advisory Commission, amending Section 2-49IF of the Lewiston City Code to include stormwater and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Clerk Ravencroft. Councilors, we're still under the active agenda. Item F2, adoption and approval of ordinance summaries. First up is ordinance, item A, ordinance 4880. This is an action item, and it looks like we're going to take up item B, ordinance 4881. Councilor Forsman.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 4880 and 4881 and approve the related ordinance summary.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Forsman, second by Councilor Schroeder to adopt ordinances numbers 4880 and 4881, approve the related ordinance summaries. Is there discussion? Clerk Ravencroft.
Council President Lidke.
Aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder.
Aye.
Councilor Speckelmeyer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, councilors. Next up, under active agenda, item G, reasons statement, CNC 23000002, concerning approval of the reasons statement for CNC 23000002. This is an action item.
Motion.
Councilor Forsman.
Motion to approve the reason statement ZNC 23-000002.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Forsman, second by Councilor Schroeder to approve the reason statement for ZNC 23-000002. Is there discussion? Amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, councilors. Next up under the active agenda, we have item H, Phase 2 Reservoir Repair Status Report. Thank you, Katie. Status report on repairs to the city's high reservoir. We have Director Johnson with us. Welcome back, Director.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. I will tell you this was a placeholder for last week's emergency meeting, so I have no action for you, but I will use this opportunity to try and get as much information as I can and updates as the work continues up on the high reservoir and how that impacts irrigation restrictions. So as you were aware, last, I believe it was Wednesday, we had the emergency meeting that allowed, we discussed and awarded the contract for the repair of the high reservoir. That work has started, well, essentially the next day. They've moved in workers and equipment. All the materials, I keep saying all the materials have been ordered. They were ready for us to approve the contract. They pushed send. Just like an Amazon order, it takes a couple days to get here. The one thing that I was going to update you on specifically to the work is the demo crew is in the process of moving in, and I got word today that they plan on basically doing the demo work starting Thursday, Friday, and if necessary into Saturday. So that reservoir will get a haircut, and probably will change the skyline dramatically if you're in the area. From there, it's, again, the work that they are doing there, it will be pretty quick. It's just more dependent on getting materials in and available for them to install them. How that relates to the irrigation restrictions, as you may be aware, there's been some rain recently, some cooler weather, but I have been obsessive with my weather app on my phone, and if you look, it will be in the 90s next week. And so what we have been working with the water manager and water team is balancing out the demand from the system. And I think as I've laid out previously, the bulk of all of the water that's feeding the restriction zone is coming from well 5, 6, and 7. So those are all kind of in a line going south from here. The run times on those wells, since the restrictions have started, and the weather obviously hasn't played a role in that, have declined significantly. And so I am really encouraged with how the community has bought into what we're doing. And so now, as we've seen the flows come down, kind of getting everything kind of back to base level demand, we can start ramping it up. We don't want to ramp these up during the rain, so waiting for the weather. And as I think I said in the last meeting, the keys to a relief in this is it needs to be digestible, it needs to be understood. So I think I said in a meeting recently, we can't have you, if your street has an M in it, you water on these times, and odd numbers and even numbers. I mean, there will be some understandable methods of how we can start providing relief in the irrigation restrictions. There will be areas that the relief will be greater. There will be areas that we just aren't able to provide that relief as a deep. The second component to that is it is easier to start progressively ramping up as the temperatures get higher. I don't want to go too fast, too quick, too fast, where we provide too much relief and the system is just not able to keep up with it. We don't, like I said, I keep saying the system is not designed to do that. Or it's not operating the way it was designed to operate. And so as we start tweaking the levers behind the scenes with the wells and the reservoirs, if we go too fast, we don't have a 2-minute warning, or it will go over and we're into boil orders and collapsed pipes. So I'm doing my best to communicate with people as the situations on both the reservoir and the restrictions, as they evolve, as the weather changes, as the work progresses at the reservoir, as the supply chain becomes more clear. This stuff will become more understood. More clarity will happen over the next 2 months. I met with the PIO last week and kind of want to get, just even if it's a weekly banner of here's the progress on the reservoir, here's the progress on the irrigation restrictions. And even if it is, holding steady, no updates. But I think that the public deserves, even if it is just that, things are progressing. We're waiting on material. That's what we've got. And so I'm trying to keep just as much information as I can. And if it's pictures, if it's me up here every week, if it's podcasts, whatever it's got to be, I want to make sure the public feels like we're getting the information as much as we can. So that's about what I've got since last week, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Director Johnson. Councillor Forsman.
So I've seen signs, and I'm just wondering, was that the businesses that decided to do that, or homeowners, but that says they're under Lloyd? Can you kind of explain that?
I did notice that this weekend.
Okay.
The one particular business has a very green yard, and as I drove by this weekend, it says Lloyd Irrigation, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to make sure that the public is aware that they have Lloyd Irrigation and not the city with that beautiful green yard. So no, that was not the city's doing, that was their own.
Okay.
Councillor Lidke.
Can I help with demolition?
You're going to have a pretty big hammer, but boy, I could.
Councillor Forsman.
Sorry, one more thing, actually. Can you explain the difference, I know you've said it, but the difference between why the sprinkler system and the hand watering?
Yeah, the problem in hearing the public comment, and I understand, what's unfortunate is what's efficient for the irrigation of the green yard is not necessarily efficient for our water system. So when you open up the time sprinklers, those zones consume a lot of water as opposed to, and I know the hand watering is difficult, and that's what we're trying to get away from. But even if it is like a hose bib sprinkler, so the two strikes against the automated sprinklers are, one, the amount of water some of these zones are capable of outputting in one run, and two, that they're automated. And so if you have to manually, even if it's just a regular hose bib sprinkler, if you have to manually turn that on daily and it's not on a timer, and we have a catastrophic event and we have to have no outdoor irrigation, even if it's just a short term, I can't get everybody to turn off all of their time sprinklers all in unison before it goes from bad to worse. And so those are the two strikes against it. I'm still, as I said, taking feedback from the irrigation companies, the landscapers, the homeowners, how we can make it work better, but that's kind of the gist of it. And the other thing, as we talk about lifting some of these restrictions, is how, I've made this joke over and over since we started working on this, is if everybody in unison could understand, you know, Bill, you do 4 a.m., Bob, you do 5 a.m., and the Smiths are gonna do 6 a.m. If everybody was on perfect unit and understood that, we could work it out. But right now, our highest demand is 4 a.m. That is how, and I don't know exactly why. And so as we read these meters and start, you know, kind of digesting the data, it may be, if you're on, you know, Cypress Street, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 to midnight. But that, I still need more data. I still need to understand how the system is reacting. We've gotten some good data on the well run times, and now we need to run those well times and how it's distributed into the system and where the demand is. And so, like I said, it's going to incrementally come in as the weather warms up and we understand more as the demand starts ramping up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I appreciate that update. Very informative always, and we appreciate the work that you and your staff are doing for us.
We do appreciate it.
We don't see you, but we do today, so thank you for what you do. Councilors, next up is item I under the active agenda, SM008 Professional Services Agreement Amendment, considering amending the professional services agreement between the City of Lewiston and Mountain Waterworks for the Joel Hall Ford Repair Project. And we have Director Johnson with us. I spoke prematurely. Director, you know the routine. Welcome. Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. And I think it's my understanding that, Mayor, you were out there today in this. It seems like every time I have something to present to you, there's a event or something occurs. So there was a rain event this afternoon. Those of you who were in town and saw it rain or hail.
Hail.
And if anybody, I did not witness it myself, but I did see the videos that specifically that is a demonstration of the storm drain system or lack thereof in the 21st Street, whatever you want to call it, canyon, that comes from, there's two storm drains, one on would be the east side and one on the west side. Those were systems that were built, one back into the 60s when they developed some of the commercial areas up on 21st Street. The one in front of you tonight, this is the Joe Hall Ford storm repair. This has been the long-standing stormwater project that's been out there for many, many years. And as the city has had no real revenue source for stormwater projects, they keep putting money, or we as the city keep putting money into this capital project. And I think a little bit, we've talked a little bit, that the inflation has outpaced this project indirectly. So the project has been designed, and a neighboring business, Rogers Motors, is looking at moving forward in some business development. And this is a theme that we've seen over and over and over again on 21st Street as businesses wants to redevelop and expand, or knock a building down or expand their own business. They're within an easement or within a storm, it's typically an easement, and that's what this is, but beneath that easement is a storm drain, and they're restricted by growth and development of their own business because of sins of their grandfathers on this street. So essentially all this is, Rogers Motors wants to move forward. We don't know, they want to move the building, we don't know the depths and the details of how they're going to do that. So they're going to, with this contract, I think it's a total of $45,500 split 50-50 between Rogers Motors and the city to do a high-level design of an alternative design to get that storm drain around. There's some back end. In 2007, there was agreement between the city and Rogers about splitting the cost for those improvements. And that's basically what this design will do. We'll educate both Rogers and us as far as the extent and the cost of those improvements. And then I guess we need to have the conversation of whether this resolution from 2007, an agreement still stands. It's my understanding that that agreement has expired in 2010, but we don't really know until we get the figures of what that design will look like. I hope I've muddied the water, as confused as I am on this, but I'm here for questions if you have any.
Councilors? Well, we multitask up here, and City Attorney Kayla watches us. It's not about the meeting. Counselor Spicklemeyer.
So, I guess to put it in my terms, dumb it down a little, you're wanting 22,750 or the 45,500?
The 22 figure, the 22,750, each entity will pay half. That's half of the 45 figure. So yeah, the city will only be out 22,750, and that will be coming out of the capital fund that we've been building for that project, for the Joe Hall Ford stormwater.
That's just the design.
Yep, this is just the design for the reroute.
I do want to say that I felt like I understood it better by just reading it, so thank you.
I've read it 6 times, I've spoken to the engineer, and I'm just glad that you understand it.
It's better.
Counselor Towsley.
Thank you. So with this redesign, and then when this project is finished, there's going to be relief for stormwater issues in that part of the neighborhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this, whether it's Joe Hall Ford or Rogers Motors on the other side of the road, that reroute of that pipe, which is,
It won't be 35 feet
it's too
deep.
deep, yeah, it will shallow it up, it's too deep, it's not serviceable, it's beyond its service life. So this, at least on the east side of the road, will take care of that issue.
What happens to that that's in the ground there?
The pipe itself?
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, that is, I believe, a steel pipe that.
Is it filled?
Yeah, we'll fill it with flowable fill, a concrete type, and we'll cut off the source, make sure there's no spring water running through it, but then we'll fill it with flowable fill and band it in.
Got it. Thank you.
Mayor.
Counselor Forsman.
So does this mean we're not going to have boats in the parking lot of the Red Lion anymore? Or now that is the Hells Canyon Hotel?
Yeah, that's the, yes, that is the ultimate goal. We want cars, not boats on our streets.
Counselor Schroeder.
So did you say, thank you, Mary, did you say that we don't know for sure if this is still a valid, that it?
The
Unsettled
original
intent.
agreement from
Yeah,
2007,
Yeah.
I don't know tonight how valid that agreement is.
So we can't approve it?
No, the improvement is to modify the existing design to then get that figure and get the design and the estimate, the cost estimate, at which point it will that's when the negotiations will happen.
All right.
But we don't have a figure, we don't have a design, so we need to better educate both parties as to what that is.
I'm on board, I'll vote for it.
Counselor Forsman.
So in a sense, this is just kind of getting the discussion started in a way.
Yep. The original design did not have this line shallowed up like they asked for. So
okay.
It's an improvement on the design that the property owner wants to take upon themselves to improve. So we're more than happy, and we would like to see the line shallowed up too. Once we shallow that line up, then we have another conversation with the other car lot to determine how that impacts that design. There's a lot of moving parts in it, but this is what they want to do with this design will make it better.
Counselor Towsley.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the amendment to the professional services agreement between Mountain Waterworks Incorporated and the City of Lewiston.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Towsley, seconded by Counselor Lidke, to approve the amendment to the professional services agreement between Mountain Waterworks Incorporated and the City of Lewiston. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Nope, pardon me, it's a roll call.
It's a roll call.
Got ahead of myself again. Clerk Ravencroft, thank you.
Council President Lidke.
Aye.
Counselor Towsley.
Aye.
Counselor Forsman.
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder.
Aye.
Counselor Speckelmeyer.
Aye.
Thank you, counselors. We're going to keep moving here. Unfinished and new business, Roman numeral 8, depending on how many city councilor comments we have. Councilor Lidke may join us. Are there any city councilor comments tonight? Council comments shall not be related to an item currently before the city council or an item that may become for the city council in the foreseeable future and shall be limited to comments, not discussion. Councilor Towsley.
Yeah, this is a shameless plug. For those of you who just watch us on your computer screens and you never get a chance to be in this facility, there is a gala going on by the Library Foundation. It's going to be January 10th And
June.
June 10th, excuse me, I was only off by 6 months or 4, yeah. June 10th, and it will be in that terrace out there, so it's going to be quite a gathering. And you can get tickets from our director of the library, Lynn Johnson. She's kind of behind in her ticket selling, so she needs some help. And it will be a great opportunity for you to help this beautiful facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further council comments?
I had it and then I lost it.
You need 1 second, Counselor?
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Is there anybody else that has anything to say while I do my search?
Okay, everybody's watching you.
That takes pressure right off. Gosh darn. I'd be good at this stuff.
Where the kid starts putting his stuff away.
Right, well, we'll probably have to, unfortunately, have to do it next time. I was gonna mention some more businesses, but I lost where the list went.
Okay. We'll get you next time. And I'll ask one more time if there are any city council comments, okay? Mayor comments? I have a couple here. First comment is that I want to thank Chief Michael Buss for his hard work, and we're going to have more opportunities to thank him for his service to the city, over 31 years of service. But I do just want to share this observation with you. You know, because all of us get criticized at some point when you work for a city government, but you know, for those of us that are still here tonight, thank you for being here. I appreciate you showing up and being part of the government. It means a lot to us. But I do want to say that I think throughout this process, Chief Michael Buss has really exhibited just a high level of professionalism and leadership. And he does in everything that he undertakes. So I don't think for one moment that there was ever any intent, you know, to try to get something maybe the citizens didn't want, or maybe to try to, you know, push something through. He's been very, very transparent with me, and I've been very transparent with him. I've had some concerns too about this project, and I didn't get to vote tonight, but I have shared some concerns that I had with the project, and he's addressed those to me. And so I know that we're going to continue to move forward and upward with this, and I just look forward to that opportunity to work with him. But I just, Chief, I just want to thank you for your professionalism and your leadership throughout this whole effort. It's very much appreciated, so thank you. Also, the press left, so I'm going to say this, although we have a couple folks here online, I guess. But Deputy Chief Reitmeyer has been very busy working for the city, and we're going to find us that next fire chief who's going to come in and is going to work very well with the department and with the citizens, and we're going to do some good things for our community. So that effort is underway. We haven't forgot about it, and we may have some fruits of our labor to show soon. I don't know, but we have some things happening. So Chief Reitmeyer, thank you for your leadership on that. Chief Reitmeyer just has the ability to just connect with people, you know, and kind of see through to their soul a little bit. I mean, he's just a very good, can measure men or women very accurately, and I think he's going to help us do that greatly. Then I would like to share just a couple of other quick things here. The first one, and I'm going to read this, I read it today, but again, for the department heads that are here today, again, just a friendly reminder for you and your staff, liaisons, that new advisory board commission members are required to complete at least one training related to the open meetings law within 6 months of their initial appointment. And you can do that. There's a presentation I think they can access online maybe that would qualify for that. But please make sure that they get that training completed so that we can check the box on that one. And then also, I did not do this in proclamation form, but I did receive a request. This was actually a few months ago from Dina Heath, and she would like to have a proclamation in appreciation for poll workers. And I'll just read from here. She said, "I'd like to suggest you prepare a proclamation of appreciation for our poll workers." Lutheran Tribune had an article that says, it cites a Pew Research Center that indicates 58% of poll workers are over 60 and 20% are over 70. And she says the county clerk here could help you with that. And I know that our elderly population works the polls. And so just want to say thank you to them. We do have an election coming up, and I can't tell you how to vote on that, but it is something that is important for the city. That'll be on May 16th. And you can go to the county website for more information on that, or call me and I'll give you my thoughts on that. So thank you to the poll workers. Advisory Board and Commission appointments, item 8D, action item number 1, Airport Authority Board considering the reappointment of Katie Seekins. This is an action item. I move to approve the reappointment of Katie Seekins to the Airport Authority Board.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Johnson, seconded by Councilor Schroeder to approve the reappointment of Katie Seekins to the Airport Authority Board. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Agenda topics.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey?
I don't know that it needs to be necessarily an action item. And maybe Director Gordon can speak to this, but I was really wanting an update on the amount of funding that the city needs to pay for the wastewater, well number 7, Community Drive Reservoir, and the water treatment plant, as well as ARPA Downtown Maine. If that either can be something we have as we move into the budget process. It's really hard to determine.
We're not going to discuss this,
Yeah.
Director.
No.
No. No.
That's fine.
Councilor, I think if you just submit that to me in a written
Okay,
form, then I
that's
will
fine.
get it to Director Gordon, and we'll make sure that we either include it in the budget presentations, or we'll put it on as a work session item. I'll make sure that it gets on there,
Thank
but please just spell that out for me.
Yep.
Okay, number 9, Roman numeral 9, adjournment.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidkey, second by Councilor Forsman to adjourn. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, councilors. We are adjourned.